The outpost on Arkan 7 was silent, save for the low hum of wind turbines and the occasional hiss of sand against metal. Corporal Jacob Reese sat on the edge of the loading dock, chewing a ration bar and watching the empty horizon. His patrol shift was over, and the night was supposed to be uneventful. Then he heard it, a faint, pitiful sound. Something was moving by the perimeter fence, small and fast. Jacob reached for his sidearm, but what he saw made him pause. Two tiny creatures, no larger than terrier pups, stared back at him with enormous dark eyes. Their fur was matted, their limbs thin. They looked like they hadn't eaten in days. Jacob sighed. "Well, you're a long way from home, huh?" The creatures made a chirping noise and edged closer, sniffing the dry air. Regulations were clear. No unregistered lifeforms inside the outpost. But regulations also didn't cover starving kids with too many legs and trembling tails. "Hold on," Jacob muttered, pulling out his ration pack. He broke it in half and tossed the pieces toward them. The creatures devoured the food like they hadn't seen a meal in weeks. Their eyes glowed faintly afterward, as if some inner light had been kindled. They looked up at him and made a strange, synchronized bow before darting into the desert night. Jacob shrugged. "Weird little guys. Hope you make it." He didn't expect to see them again. 19 minutes later, the sky ripped open. Sensors across the outpost screamed warnings as massive shapes emerged from hyperspace. One after another, colossal warships dropped out of the void, sleek, angular, and bristling with weapons that outclassed anything the Terran Defense Force could field. 7,000 of them. The base commander's voice came through the intercom, panicked. "All units to defensive stations. Unknown fleet incoming. This is not a drill." Jacob ran to the command deck, heart pounding. "What's happening? Whose ships are those?" "Unknown designation," the officer barked, staring at the holographic display. "No warning, no ID, no wait. They're forming a perimeter." The fleet didn't fire. Instead, a single transmission broke through, rich and resonant, translated by the comm systems. "The kind one has been located. Prepare for emissaries." Before anyone could ask what that meant, a shuttle detached from the lead dreadnought and descended directly toward Jacob's outpost. The hangar doors hissed open. From the shuttle emerged a delegation of towering, crystalline beings, their forms shifting like living glass. And standing before them, carried in ornate silken cradles, were the two little strays Jacob had fed. They chirped at him excitedly, and the lead emissary bowed deeply, its voice ringing in his mind. "You have shown mercy to the young of our royal line." Jacob blinked. "Wait, royal line? Those were our crown progeny, lost during the incursion. Your act of nourishment has bound your name to our kin by ancient law. The AR Quinn swarm owes you a life debt and protection of the highest order." The base commander stumbled forward. "You're saying all this?" He gestured to the endless armada now blotting out the stars. "Is because he fed them a snack?" The emissary tilted its crystalline head. "You misunderstand the scale of the gesture. To feed a royal youngling in exile is to declare sanctuary. Sanctuary must be defended. Your world is now under the protection of the swarm." Jacob stared at the two tiny creatures, who now looked smugly content in their cradles. "I just gave them half a ration bar. Half a star would not have been greater," the emissary replied solemnly. Within hours, the political channels exploded. Neighboring alien powers, once hostile to humanity, fell eerily silent as the 7,000-strong AR Quinn fleet settled into orbit. Treaties were hastily redrafted. Trade routes opened. No one dared challenge a species that could field an armada in under 20 minutes. Especially not for the sake of one lone corporal on a dusty frontier. Back in the outpost mess hall, soldiers whispered as they passed Jacob. Some saluted, some just shook their heads. "So, you're their chosen one now?" one private muttered. Jacob poked at his new platter of alien delicacies, courtesy of the royal kitchens now personally catering his meals. "I guess so. Next time, I'm checking what species I'm feeding before I share lunch." Weeks later, A new Terran embassy was being constructed under the shimmering shadow of the Aarquin flagship. Humanity's status in the galaxy had changed overnight, not by war, not by politics, but by a small act of kindness on a lonely night. The two alien strays, now officially recognized as the twin heirs to the swarm, never left his side. They chirped happily whenever he returned from patrol, their once-starved frames now strong and luminous. Jacob often wondered how history would remember it. The night a simple meal brought 7,000 warships to his door. But when the stars lit up with Aarquin banners, one truth became undeniable. Sometimes the smallest kindness starts the largest wars, or ends them before they begin.